Good evening, everybody. It's good to see so many people here tonight. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, November 11th at 6:05. Thank you for your patience for the last 5 minutes. Ms. Clinton, would you be so kind to read the mission statement aloud?
The mission of Monument Academy is to provide a challenging, content-rich academic program offered within an engaging, caring, and positive learning environment. Established on a solid foundation of knowledge, Monument Academy emphasizes academic excellence, respect, responsibility, character, and exemplary citizenship.
Thank you very much. Would everybody please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move into roll call. Mr. Buczkowski.
Present.
Mrs. Clinton.
Present.
Mr. Dole.
Present.
Mrs. McCuen.
Present.
Mrs. St. Aubyn.
Present.
And for the record, Ryan Graham is present as well. We have a quorum with 6 members in person for our attendance. Moving to additions to and approval of agenda. Are there any additions that would like to be added to the agenda this evening? I am going to make a motion to amend the agenda. I hereby motion to amend the specific statutes under our executive session matters by including CRS 24-6-402 4C, which reads, to discuss confidential student information related to parent grievances and as required by under the Family Educational Rights Protection Act of 1974, 20 U.S.C. 1232G, 34 CFR Part 99. I would need a second to that.
Second.
Can I ask a question? Is it also D, E, and F, or just C?
It will also be B, E, and F, correct? We have a second. Mr. Buczkowski, or is there any discussion? Mr. Buczkowski, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Mrs. Clinton?
Aye.
Mr. Dole?
Aye.
Mrs. McCuen?
Aye.
Mrs. St. Aubyn?
Aye.
For the record, Ryan Graham votes aye. The motion carries. That will amend the executive session matters on the agenda. Are there any additional corrections or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we will approve the agenda now by unanimous consent. And Mrs. McCuen will move to school spotlight.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. It's great to see so many faces. Thank you for taking the time to come and be with us. So we have begun to do something new. For those of you who have not been with us the last couple months, as a board, we are doing a school spotlight, and it's my joy to get to do this at the beginning of our meetings, regular board meetings, and we do this in partnership with our Monument Academy admin team at the beginning of each meeting. I get to honor someone from our community or staff who has gone above and beyond in their duties and responsibilities for our school. Nominees can be submitted by anyone in our school community, teachers, staff, parents, anybody. Tonight, we would like to shine the spotlight on our very own Mrs. Weber as she walks in. Yay! Let's give her a round of applause. That was perfect timing. There are 2 seats right up here for you and your husband if you'd like to sit right here in the front. It was just beginning. Thank you. You guys get stuck in that wonderful traffic too? Yeah, that was something else. Okay, so I'm just beginning to talk about you. Tonight we would like to shine the spotlight on Mrs. Beth Weber. Mrs. Weber has been with Monument Academy for several years now and is our elementary educational technology coordinator. And just as a side note, We have our staff directory on our webpage, and I would just encourage you, if you haven't done so, to just go on there and peruse that and read Mrs. Weber's bio. It's pretty phenomenal. I am honored that you're here, and I think we don't know the half of who you are and what you do, but I just want to throw that out there. I was very educated in such a good way about who you are, just a little bit, and we're blessed to have you at our school. I have often heard glowing comments over the years about you, and I too have had the opportunity to find these things to be true. Among the comments that are often made by you is warm and kind and open and helping to all who approach you. You never turn anyone away. And that, again, I personally experienced that, but that is the common word on the street about you from your peers. And that says a lot. Beth, you have been vitally instrumental in facing the myriad technology challenges presented by COVID amongst your normal duties over the years, but the last couple of years have been exceptionally challenging, and you have faced them with such grace. You have done trainings to help our staff get up to speed. You have done digital citizenship classes for our students. You've helped create curriculums. You have helped in the STEM department and projects. You've overseen Seesaw and Google and G Suite. I mean, I could go on, seriously, I could go on and on about the things that you have done and continue to do. And I won't for the sake of time, but get to know her. She's amazing if you don't know her already. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I would like to read, as I end here, and honoring you, one of the nominations from your own peers, Mrs. Susie Benz. I would like to nominate Beth Weber. She has gone above and beyond in years past and in this year to help any and all staff members who have asked for technical support. I have never known her to decline a request for help. She always finds the time and is very kind, positive, and patient. She helped and taught me so much last year when art and music went remote. I know that others feel the same, Mrs. Benz. So we honor you this evening, and I would also like to honor your husband, who has served in the military. We thank you and honor you both for your service here at our school, but also to our country. Thank you.
Can I get a picture of you three?
Yes.
I'm not that fast.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. McCuen and Mrs. Weber. Thank you for your service to Monument Academy. Mrs. Clinton, do we have any citizens' comments pertaining to agenda items?
Yes, we have two.
Mrs. Kim Stoltenberg. If you could hit the button and just a reminder that 3 minutes. Thank you.
First, just thank you for seeking the input of parents. There are concerns over space in our East Campus, and moving our 6th graders back to the West Campus seems like an easy fix. Easy is not always best. Please do not listen to words saying we don't have room for another incoming 125 to 150 6th grade students. We're not talking about adding 150 students to our East Campus. We already house 6th grade here. The only addition will be maybe 25 to 50 students retained at the high school level. This is still within the East Campus capacity. Think about our PPR. To increase our budget, we need to increase our enrollment numbers. We want to keep 6th, 7th, and 8th grade numbers about the same, and we simply aren't going to be pulling bunches of new high schoolers until after Phase 2 is built. Our place to grow right now is grades K through 5. We have room to potentially get all of those grades up to 5 classrooms, which will grow us by about 150 students, and set us up to feed directly into our middle school numbers. By moving 6th grade back to the West Campus, we choke off any room for growth in that one area where we are able to grow now. And we are not going to add 150 high school students the next year, but there is actual potential to add 150 elementary students. Do not block our chance for increasing funding by filling West Campus with students that we already have. Let's not lose sight of our students. Our current sixth graders have access to all of the advanced electives that set MA apart, to a plethora of enriching clubs and sports offered in the middle school level, to teachers who specialize in subject content, and to structured support times with teachers specializing in the subject they may struggle with. At the West Campus, they will lose that. The content offered at the elementary level just can't compete and isn't designed to with the depth of content at our middle school level. Our elementary is great, but our current sixth graders function by design at a higher level than what elementary offers. We also want to protect our community image. We have goals of growing our high school program now and in the future. If you weren't already at MA and didn't know our school, would you put your student in a school who's promising to develop a high school program, but who is already regressing in other areas? Would you really enroll your high school student who's preparing for college in a program at a school that looks like it's backsliding rather than thriving? Moving sixth grade back to the West Campus will not help grow our school. Consider the impact of adding sixth grade class back to the West Campus car line. Can we know for certain that the recirculation construction will be completed on schedule? Imagine adding another grade of students into the mess of construction if construction is still going on. Even when construction is complete, the recirculation plans at the West Campus don't offer the queuing space of East Campus. You'd be trying to solve one tight situation by just creating another. If you move sixth grade back to the West Campus, it will sacrifice our options for growth and funding, negatively impact our community reputation, and rip away the current high levels of academic support and enrichment we offer our sixth grade students. That is not a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stoltenberg. Mrs. Shar Sellers. Thank you, ma'am. And just a reminder, 3 minutes, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you today. I know I'm not alone in my sadness about Principal Seymour's resignation. I'd like to express how much I appreciated her sincerity as a person and her compassion and fair-mindedness as a leader. She'll be sorely missed here at MA. In light of her absence from MA moving forward, and because of information communicated to me by a staff member, I have concerns that I'd like to raise. My husband and I chose Monument Academy because of its stellar reputation for seeing every student as an individual and meeting each one where he or she is. We bring our kids here because we believe in MA's vision to educate all students in the journey of becoming well-rounded, flourished individuals, as Mrs. Seymour recently reassured me. All students include students with learning differences or learning disabilities with IEPs and 504s. So far, my family's experience at MA has lived up to our hopes and expectations, by no small measure because of our former principal and the atmosphere she helped to create and nurture, as well as the amazing ESS team employed by Monument Academy. They are truly exceptional. All of my kids' teachers have been exceptional, and I hope we will continue to support them in meaningful ways. Parents want to keep supporting them in meaningful ways. I've been able to work collaboratively with so many of them as an important part of my children's growth and development academically and personally. At the same time, recently, my belief in Monument Academy has been challenged. Something happened that caused me to wonder where Monument Academy is heading and whether it will continue to be the right place for my sons as leaders change. I understand that a particular teacher resigned on November 1st primarily because this teacher didn't want to deal with the parents of ESS students so much anymore. This teacher communicated to me that our CEO talked him into staying and agreed to the stipulation that this teacher would not have to meet so much with ESS parents anymore, because it's not what the teacher was originally hired to do. The teacher added that the meetings with ESS parents have not been productive. This is something I would have spoken with Julie Seymour about before she resigned. Given her absence, I turn to you, the Board of MA, and the community to bring awareness. Making deals with disgruntled teachers that effectively throw kids with learning disabilities under the bus is beneath Monument Academy, or at least it has been. I think MA's ESS parents have a reasonable right to know if what this teacher communicated to me is true, and whether this practice of using special education students as a bargaining chip reflects the future prevailing educational philosophy of our school. I encourage other parents of children at MA with special learning needs, as well as parents of typical learners, especially when there is a change in leadership, to remain alert and attentive and speak up when something happens that could signal a change that might lead to a diminishment of our ability to carry out our parental right and responsibility to advocate for our children. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Sellers. All right, Board, moving forward to consent agenda, the minutes from October 28th and November 3rd have been distributed to you electronically. Are there any corrections or requests for the minutes to be read aloud? Seeing no corrections or requests, the minutes are approved as distributed by unanimous consent. Next will be establishing our next meeting date. I believe at our last meeting we had discussed December 9th. With the location being here at the East Campus, room 1044, 10.4. Is there any changes to that? If there's no objections to it, then we'll just proceed forward with it. So our next meeting date will be December 9th, 6 p.m., East Campus, this location, room 1044. All right, moving forward to reports of administration and committees. Mr. Holmes, you are up, sir.
Thank you. One of the things that's enclosed in my report for today as part of your board packet is the Phase 2 survey results on the priorities for the Phase 2 of construction. You can see that the top two priorities in that were more academic space and an academic wing for the high school, and then a competition-sized gymnasium. Three other priorities that were ranked on that survey were an athletic field, a larger commons area and cafeteria, and a performing arts auditorium. And those are some of the priorities that our community gave us feedback that they would like to see as we move forward on this campus. Another one of the parts of my report to you is the 5th grade survey results were also completed. We had over 100 of our responses on this 5th grade survey. And I know both the Phase 2 and the 5th grade survey are items for further discussion later, but just wanted to highlight that the 5th grade survey results are widely spread between some parents who would like to stay at the other campus, some who want to come to this campus, and some who are very much in between. And so that gives us an idea of where our parents are on this particular issue as we look for space as we grow and outgrow our building. In addition, we're working on athletics. We have an athletics meeting scheduled with our coaches for next week. We're looking at how we prepare to expand into high school athletics with CHASA membership and what sports we can potentially add for next year as well. Our mental health and security teams met with the district for some additional training around suicide risk and threat assessments and how we coordinate those to make sure that we're keeping our students and staff as safe as possible. The Highway 105 committee did a great job of working towards resolution with our neighbors at the church at the West Campus. Obviously, we continue to work on our car line plan over there and make it better. Hopefully, that'll continue over the next few weeks. We're also working towards Phase 2 financing for this campus, and we are working on the 5-year budget and budget challenges as we move through that process. A couple of highlights here at this campus. The middle school and high school homecoming events were huge successes. They were very well attended by the students and a good time with their friends and very well attended. The Monument Academy boys basketball teams are all undefeated, 2/3 of the way through the season, C team, A team, and B team. So we're very proud of them. One of the things that I think is a real strength of Monument Academy is our middle school athletic program. We have very high participation, and we're very successful in competition, both of those things. We've begun art contests for our students here at this campus to help us, give us ideas about what they think the new Gym 4 should look like as we build that out. And then also, for some of our artists who are a little more gifted and skilled, they are submitting proposals on what the high school mural should look like inside that gym. We hope as we move forward and build that gym and then contract with a professional artist to create that professional artist will allow some of our more gifted artists to be a part of creating that mural. So it's part of what we hope to do as we move forward. Elementary school, Watchdogs is back. Phenomenal event this week with around 300 dads and students and a few uncles and grandpas in there as well. It was a phenomenal event, great barbecue. We're really happy to see that program kicking off again and get our male role models back in the school. Medieval Day for 4th grade was very successful, as well as the Harvest of Love food drive that brought in over 5,000 pounds of food. Fire Safety Month also included visits with the preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade. And then kindergarten enjoyed a trip to a local pumpkin patch. And last on that is we had a phenomenal PTO event of Trick or Trunk, which was, I heard over 1,000 people was the final count. So that was a great event as well. Any questions? Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, actually, you do have a question. Sorry, I didn't turn my mic on quickly enough. First of all, with Watchdogs, that is amazing, and I'm really thrilled to see that that was such a huge turnout. Has there been any more look at bringing it here for East, but also maybe dad, if we have that many signed up, some that are dads that have kids at both campuses that could then come here versus over there. I mean, we have that many, we're not going to have that many dads in the building all at once, but just to be able to spread that program out at both campuses, give those role models in both places.
Yeah, the plan was to get it started at the other campus and get it rolling really well, and then to expand it then over to this campus as well. But we haven't set a real timeline for that yet.
Okay. The other question I had is, I understand we have the taco night coming up with the 8th grade and approaching the families. And I'm curious to know just how that turnout's looking, if we've looked at all at involving the community to come in, just knowing how retention of our 8th graders really impacts numbers and what we're forecasting and all the different things we're also looking at financially.
Yeah, at this time, our primary focus for that night is our current 8th graders. And with our marketing and communications person being out much of the last few weeks, we haven't targeted community for that event. We've targeted our own 8th graders. And that's what our focus of it is.
Are we having good response in terms of the turnout for that?
I have not seen RSVP numbers from last week. I'm sorry. We're right around 63 responses so far.
Thank you, I saw the movement.
Thank you.
Board, any further questions? Mr. Holmes? Thank you, sir. We will move along to you, Mr. Brocklehurst.
All right, we'll start with financial results for the past month. Revenue for October was at $861,000. Fiscal year to date, we're at about $3.6 million, which is roughly 32% of the annual budget. We're at a third of the way through the school year, so that difference there, what we're a little short is, again, some of the reimbursements that we get through various grants come in waves, so it's not really lower. Expenses in October were $847,000. Fiscal year to date, we're at $2.7 million, which is 24% of the annual budget. Variances for the month, Purchase services and equipment purchases were lower than the monthly budget. Net income for October sits at about $15,000. Net income fiscal year date is $874,000. And last year at this time, net income was at $821,000. Anything I can quickly answer on financial results for the past month? Okay. You also have in front of you a revised budget that we need to vote on today. Not much has changed since the last time you saw that in end of October. There was a minor change to enrollment. I think the number is like one student less, so it kind of funnels through. So a little less PPOR on one item, but less. It's under 10,000. So not a lot of change there. I won't go through all the various differences between what this is and what it was before, because it's pretty similar to what you looked at last time, unless you have any questions on that.
Right now, Mr. Brocklehurst, we have this under discussion and action items, so we'll come back to this topic. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Quick update on the audit. I talked to the auditor today, and we decided to remove the review of the audit that we were going to look at today. It would have only had a draft document to speak to. They were happy to do so. We decided to move it to a later date so we could talk about the final audit. They're in the, what do you call it, the detailed review of the financial statements. His senior auditor is looking through that. Should have something pretty quick here. And then, as Mr. Holmes spoke to earlier, we're working through the 5-year forecast as requested, kind of working through that forecast, identify how we get to a good point there. A few other highlights were noted in the report. If you have any questions, I can answer.
Board, any questions? Mr. Brocklehurst? Thank you, sir. Moving along to our committee reports. Ms. St. Aubyn, we'll start with you, item 15.
Say that most of our efforts have been focused on getting our car line up and running. I'm excited that the afternoon seems to be going really well. I think there's still work to be done in the mornings, although this morning looked like it was running. Every day gets a little bit better. We have contracted with a traffic engineer to do some counts this week of turns and traffic, and we will be getting those to the county next week, and they will coordinate with CDOT to work on retiming the lights. So we're very interested to see the effect that makes. Other than that, we've been continuing to coordinate with the county on the recirculation plan and just working through a lot of details in terms of contracts and the MOU. So I don't have many more details about that right now, but just that we're continuing to work on it. So thanks for everybody's patience and grace this week with the car line, and actually hope that it's going to improve things. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. St. Aubyn. Board, any questions on that committee report? All right. Moving on to Rick. Welcome, Ms. McCuen.
Actually, I do not have anything to report right now because our curriculum meeting this month was canceled, so hopefully something else coming next month maybe.
Thank you. We're going to continue to move on with you as the volunteer committee report.
Yes, so the volunteer committee met again for our second meeting and discussed the different areas that we could focus on getting volunteers that would be the most useful mostly within the West Campus, although I'm hoping to get more details soon on how we can also be providing support to the East Campus. I met with Mr. Walker and Ms. Barrett, and we looked at a demo of a potential volunteer module that would give a centralized location and a volunteer portal for everybody to use. So we just have to kind of look through more details with that, and we'll proceed from there. But I hope that, especially those of you at the West Campus that are here, have seen the parents in there. They're in the lunchroom. We're finding the places where we can really lend a helping hand. There's been a lot of them at Carline this week. We've had parents showing up to help with that as well. And I've also been having teachers reach out to me to have signups for events, and so that's been really exciting as well. That it's obviously been communicated well to the staff that there's a committee here. We're looking for the ways that we can aid you, and then parents are signing up. So positive outlook for all that.
Awesome. Any questions? All right, let's say Aubyn, back to you, SAAC West.
Okay, the SAAC West, for those of you who maybe don't know, but the SAAC is the School Accountability Committee, and so that's the committee that sends out the mid-year and the end-of-year survey. And so in the past 2 years, I think Chris has been doing the SAAC committee, and one thing that we have emphasized for the last year at least is keeping that survey consistent so that we have results over time to analyze. Because one of the problems has been we're just always kind of asking new questions, and we're not nailing down, like, is there a problem that continues to happen. So we've been working on that. So this year's survey will be very similar to last year, although we did tweak a couple questions just because COVID changed the survey a little bit. But the other thing to emphasize for everyone here is that it's very important that we get a high participation rate in the survey. So obviously our data is not going to be valid unless we have enough people answering the question. So we'll do some competitions with the kids in classes, trying to get them to get their parents to do the survey. The mid-year survey for SAAC West, or for the West Campus, will begin on December 1st, and the deadline will be December 10th. And so we kind of we've thrown around some ideas of rewards, but it could be anything from pajama day to, well, we don't like pajama day. Oh, we do like pajama day. We do, and we don't.
You two need to get together and get on the
Pajama day is controversial.
Oh my gosh. Pajama day is canceled.
Half day is a big thing.
Yeah, that is,
That's a great idea. It could also be controversial.
everything.
What is it? Anyway, or maybe a movie or something. So anyway, we're throwing out ideas that might get the kids excited, but really what we need is the parents' participation. So look for that coming out beginning of December. Thank you.
I do have a question. Will the competition of results continue between East and West Campus? And if so, who gets the pie in the face?
The loser.
I haven't heard if when the East Campus is going out, but it will be Misty getting a pie in the face because I'm not going to listen.
It won't be me. I'm telling you that now. And basically, she just read my whole SAAC East. So we have a SAAC committee for both campuses, East and West, and we have equal representation of both schools. And so pretty much everything Megan said, I would say, is happening at the East as well. We met just the other day with a great group of parents and staff. A lot of talking and dialoguing and really looking at, we take a lot of time. The survey is really critical to our school. It's a core of who we are, and it's one of our primary tools that we have as a school of really our parents' voice, our family's voice is being heard. So we take this survey very seriously. We do it twice a year, mid-year and end of the year, and we get great feedback. And last year we had the most participation. I think it was like 75%. That's amazing. That's almost a miracle to have that many families participate in this survey. But I think it speaks to our community, who we are as people, and the community that we have worked hard to foster over time. And we're all committed to seeing our school just continue to grow and improve and keep getting better. So I would reiterate what Megan said, be on the lookout We're also shooting to have our survey out before winter break, and we are working on the same thing. We're going to get together actually again because we didn't even quite fully make it through. We're really processing it all and looking at different ways, and competition is going to be steep, so watch out. Be on the lookout.
Excellent. Any questions? SAAC committee chairs? All right, moving along to governance. Just a quick update. You'll see in the under discussion action items, we have 1500 ABC. We have started our systematic review for the bylaws of reviewing each and every policy. We also, our intent is to have a elections policy first read for the next meeting, and we really need to have that adopted and approved no later than January. So that is our update for policy governance. Mr. Dole, we will move forward with you.
All right. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's here tonight as well. I know there's a lot going on at the school, and I'm just excited. I'm going to talk more about watchdogs later, but we're just seeing a lot of participation by our parents, our volunteers in the school, and I just think that's awesome. In terms of the Finance Committee, I want to substantiate what Mr. Brocklehurst previously reported to in terms of the fact that we do have a solid budget for the current fiscal year. The Finance Committee, with Mr. Brocklehurst's leadership and also Mr. Holmes, they're doing a fantastic job on that 5-year budget. I'm excited for what they have to present here. I believe that is going to be done at the December meeting. But they're getting creative with how we can get to a balanced budget based on the report that we had last board. Along with that, I'm going to tie in with the Finance Committee, the Monument County Foundation. For those of you that don't know, the foundation is actually the organization that holds our buildings in terms of the deeds and whatnot. The school itself does not own the buildings. As we go through this finance process, the foundation will be signing a lot of contracts in concert with how Monument Academy wants to proceed with directives from the board initially. The reason I mention this is we've been looking at different pieces of financing, whether that be the refinance of the current bonds, which have some restrictions that hold us a little bit until June of 2023. So we're trying to get creative in how we're going to move forward with phase 2. We've announced that we want to break ground next August. The Monument Academy Foundation, in concert with the Finance Committee, has reviewed a potential contract that is known as the Design Build Finance opportunity. This contract allows us to potentially go out and contract with a construction company that bankrolls everything for the school. We then enter into a 2 to 3 year lease, if you will, at the completion of the construction project with a certificate of occupancy, and then it would be defined within that contract as to when the school would then have the opportunity to buy the buildings. And really, again, it's the foundation that buys the buildings through bond finance, or other opportunities that exist. The reason I mention this is we have an opportunity to move forward with exploring the design build finance option, and the foundation is in the final hours of signing such a contract. If that contract is signed, that does not alleviate the foundation from pursuing traditional opportunities to design, go through a bid process, and also finance the school. So I want to make that clear. But we're hopeful with this new process. It's brought a lot of new opportunity to the table. I don't want to be overly ambitious, but our push right now is to see how far in advance of next August we could actually break ground, whether that be on the facility, meaning the institutional wing, or whether it be the academic fields. But there are some positives, big positives to this approach, and I anticipate that at the December meeting I will announce that the foundation has signed such contract, and we'll have a much more thorough review of that process going forward.
When next August 22?
So originally what's been laid before the community is, as we go through the refinance opportunities or exploring the options for the current buildings, we're talking about how do we get into phase two. Phase two is, the stage has been set right now for us to, or our goal to break ground August of 2022, opening the doors for August of 2023, right? And that, we're trying to get ahead of that. We've had some great meetings on phase two with respects, and Mr. Holmes produced some of the results from the community as to what the level of importance is for each aspect of that operation. So right now we're seeing if we can break ground even earlier, understanding that without being held to any of these words, we're right now trying to explore the opportunity of can we scratch ground and have an athletic field and other facilities of such in place for August of next year, recognizing that we will not have the physical structure of the academic wing completed and ready until August of 2023.
Any further questions? Mr. Dole? All right, Mr. Buczkowski, buildings and facilities, sir.
Hi, yes, and I really don't have any other update other than the survey results that Roland shared, which showed that the community thought that the academic wing for the high school in a competition-sized gymnasium would be the priorities for the phase two build. Not that this is something that we have to be held to or anything like that. It's just that was one particular survey done with people from the community.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions? All right, that'll take us into items requiring board discussion and action. At the top of our list is the East Campus principal resignation of Mrs. Julie Seymour. I've prepared a statement that I'm going to read. I just want to reiterate that this is from me as the board president and not the entire board. Last week, the Monument Academy board, staff, students, and families were all notified of the sudden resignation of our beloved East Campus principal, Mrs. Julie Seymour. Mrs. Seymour has been an integral part of the MA community for the past 12 years, and she has called Monument Academy home for only children's K through 8 education. Mrs. Seymour has shown an extremely deep love, devotion, and compassion towards every student in this school, and we are all very saddened by her sudden resignation. As a board, we realize that her absence will leave a large void in the leadership at our East Campus. Please know that tonight we will be discussing our steps forward and seek to have collaborative engagement in the days ahead with our COO, our administration, and our teachers here at the East Campus. This board is also very aware that when a key leadership person resigns in the middle of the school year, that rumors and accusations will abound. Over the past week, I have had many conversations, meetings, phone calls, and emails regarding this sudden resignation. As your board president, I have personally had a direct conversation with Mrs. Seymour since receiving her resignation. During that conversation, I deliberately inquired and asked if there is anything that this board can do to have her reconsider. She emphatically stated no, it is for personal reasons. At this point, all I can do is honor Mrs. Seymour's reasoning and focus on the path forward for Monument Academy. Let me be clear, we will forge ahead, and we will always remember the legacy and impact Mrs. Seymour has had on so many lives. Furthermore, to the staff, teachers, students, and parents, this board is extremely aware of the significant number of challenges Monument Academy has faced in the last 90 days. We feel your pain, we feel your frustration, and we feel your fear. With that said, this board is resolute and determined to keep moving forward, even if it is day by day. My firm conviction is that all of us unified together will take Monument Academy to an even higher level of success. I ask that you please continue to hold the line and know that we are standing right beside you. Thank you for your continued trust and support, but most importantly, your continued prayers. Thank you. So as I finish that statement, do we want to have any conversation about the path forward with the hiring process for replacing Mrs. Seymour?
Yeah, Just a question.
Yes.
Do you plan to hire another principal, or at this point in the academic year would we use assistant principals?
My plan would be to hire another administrator, but it wouldn't necessarily, it would be interim, just for the remainder of this year. And then, as we've talked about with some of our other positions, I believe that if you hire in the spring, there's a deeper and broader pool of candidates that might consider us. And so I think that would be my recommendation, that we hire an interim administrator to work with our two assistant principals that we currently have to help manage this campus for the rest of the year.
Can you, Mr. Holmes, thank you for that. And I'm grateful we're talking about this because I think it's important for clarity and all of us to be in unity and on the same page and knowing what's going forward. So thank you for taking the time to answer our questions. Can you, just for the sake of all of our understanding here, help us understand the difference between a principal and an administrator and what that would look like for the rest of the interim year?
Yeah, I think part of why, and part of it's just a title. We would want somebody obviously qualified with a principal's license if we can, and things like that. If we give that person a title of principal, it implies that they might be filling Mrs. Seymour's shoes and taking her place, quote unquote, and I don't feel like anybody can take her place right now. That we need more help in this building to make sure things are running smoothly, but I don't want to, in that process, make it look like whoever gets hired over the coming weeks would be necessarily the person that would be the permanent principal for this building. So and it's really just a label, I guess, rather than, and it might be labeled assistant principal or administrator. The title is maybe not as important as their duties and understanding what their role is and how the assistant principals and this new person would work together and what their duties would be.
Okay.
Mr. Holmes, who's in charge right now of the day-to-day operations here at the East Campus?
Mrs. Thomas and Ms. Skinner are sharing those duties.
Is that broken up by grade level, or?
They have duties that they've been doing, and part of that, and we've just talked briefly, is that some of the things that we want to focus on, making sure that day-to-day operations of the school go well, that discipline is handled, things like that. But some of their duties, like observing teachers and making recommendations and evaluations, those could probably be pushed till January.
So from my understanding right now, we will have an interim person in that role, and that would obviously be the two APs at this point. Your intent is to hire potentially another interim as an administrator, if you will?
Right.
Okay. And then from there, when would we potentially be looking at going through a formal process of hiring a principal?
I believe the best time to do that is to start that in the February-March timeframe.
And I know this is all very sudden. I want to put you on the spot with giving us decisive answers on this. And what I would like to see as a board, or at least as an individual up here, is some collaboration amongst our staff and teachers here at this East Campus, just in relation to that. And I know we have a meeting tomorrow where Megan and I will be attending, and that may be a good opportunity to have some further dialogue.
Yeah, as a starting point for that process, it might look a lot like the process we used to hire Mr. Walker. There were teachers involved in that process. Mrs. St. Aubyn sat on the interview, so it was a team of people that went through that hiring process.
Did we request to do any sort of exit interview by Mrs. Seymour?
My understanding of talking with Mrs. Buzzle is that we haven't done exit interviews. We haven't had established a process for that. When I first heard that Mrs. Seymour might leave, I also wanted to talk with her about some of that, the reasons and what was going on she emphasized to me as well that it was for personal reasons and that that was her decision, and I tried to move forward and disrespect that.
Board, any further discussion on this?
Just for clarity, when, Mr. Holmes, do you anticipate the process to start for the temporary administrator?
I'm hoping we can get something for sure posted by Monday, maybe even as soon as tomorrow, and that would start that process.
So the February, March timeframe was for permanent?
Yes.
I guess I just want to say, excuse me, obviously this was sudden and unexpected, and someone already alluded to your first 90 days being unbelievably challenging. When we think of all the things that have occurred this last 90 days, it's been significant for our school. We've had a lot of change just within these 90 days. And I guess I just want to say, Mr. Holmes, that you've been given a monstrous task. And we're grateful for you, and we're grateful for our staff who is holding the line right now, facing these different challenges. And we're confident in you and in our staff to find the way forward in this, and to please let us know as a board how we can continue to further support you and to support our team as we do find our way forward, and collaborating together. And I just want to say thank you. Thank everybody, assistant principals, thank you guys for stepping in. This is difficult, to say the least, and we appreciate you stepping up, to this large task, along with Mr. Holmes. Thank you, all of you. And I just speak for myself personally, and I'm sure I speak for all of us. We are here, and we stand with you, and we're supporting you. And if there's anything we can do to further help in this process, please let us know. But I just want to recognize, Mr. Holmes, you've been given a ginormous task, and we're confident in you, and we thank you for what you're doing. It's not easy, so thank you.
Board, any further discussion? There's no action item on this, so this will proceed to be revised 2021 and 2022 budget. Mr. Dole, I have you down for this. Obviously, Mr. Brocklehurst, you'll be back up, sir.
Calling my backup.
So you're back up to that.
You want me to run through it again?
Mr. Brocklehurst, if you would just be so kind to maybe highlight some of the key points.
Sure.
We've all seen this electronically, so I'm sure if there's any questions, obviously they can come up now, but you just want to walk us through your highlights.
Sure. So this is a revised budget to the one that was approved back in June. A couple of the revenue impacts increased to PPR about $72 per student. Ultimately for West Campus, that ends up being about $68,000 more. Some slight change to, MLO revenue increased on here based on the number of students. Increase there at West of 17,000. Decrease to the state capital construction due to the amount that they being those that run that grant are using last year's enrollment numbers to calculate that amount. So previously it was based off of a 1,083 enrollment. However, it's going to be based off of 950 or whatever it was last year. So there's a reduction there of about 17,000. East Campus, same impact on revenue, $72 increase per student on the PPR. When I plugged in the October 1st enrollment numbers, there were less students in the high school, by 3 I think, and a few more in the elementary, so the PPR funding for East increases by only $1,000 because of that difference there. MLO revenue up a little bit as well, $10,000 for East. And again, for the state capital construction, that drops down by about 15,000. Let's see, expense impact for West. This revision versus last approved budget. That budget had some positions in there that we decided not to fill, so there's a difference of about 68,000 there. Some change, decrease to professional contracted services by not renewing a marketing consultant. About $8,000 savings there. We increased legal fees for West with regards to the work being done for Highway 105 project. Bumped that up about 10,000, 11,000 looks like. Some increases to property-related services. And that was for the potential road work that we may have to do with the the recirculation. You know, we had talked back and forth about some kind of a cul-de-sac potential. So if there's any kind of road work that needs to be done in the interim, we've got a little bit there to address that, so it's not a surprise. Supplies and materials, we increased. We did a larger purchase at the beginning of the year to upgrade, replace some old technology equipment. So we've adjusted the budget for that to compensate. At East Campus, again, some positions that were not filled. So there's about 32,000 there, decrease in expense. The portion of the professional contracted services related to the marketing consultant, decrease of 7,000 there. Increase to legal services, about 9,000. And again, a supply and material increase related to the technology additions, about 5,000. Ultimate result then for this budget is a balanced budget, so a net income of 0, which should result in an ending fund balance of about $2.5 million. Anything I can answer?
No, well, thank you for getting us to a balanced budget. That's as balanced as it gets for
Good job.
21-22 revised budget. With that said, I guess then there's no further discussion. I'll hereby move that we approve the revised 21-22 fiscal school year budget as presented by our CFO, Mark Brocklehurst.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion to said motion? Mr. Buczkowski, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Ms. Clinton?
Aye.
Mr. Dole?
Aye.
Mrs. McCuen?
Aye.
Mrs. St. Aubyn?
Aye.
For the record, Ryan Graham votes aye. Thank you, Mr. Brocklehurst. Most approved. All right, moving along to the cart line, West Campus, Ms. St. Aubyn.
I wasn't prepared to talk about Caroline. Do we need any consideration on that?
I thought I already talked about it.
Just see if
You
there's
guys want to keep talking about Caroline? I have talked a lot about that.
if there's any more discussion on it. Just as an update to the board, we did start a traffic study on Tuesday morning, and that traffic study should be completed by the end of this week. It's basically a 3-day snapshot of the morning and afternoon in relation to Carline. From there, that traffic study will be analyzed and basically uploaded to a software program that will, for lack of better terms, spit back metrics to what we can do to potentially improve it at the lights. From there, it goes to the county. The county then would need to collaborate with CDOT, and from there, they could potentially start the resequencing of those lights fairly quickly. Now, I can't commit that our traffic study is going to provoke them to do so, but we are going to do everything in our ability and capacity to look at that. We all know the morning car line right now is a challenge, and I do appreciate our parents bearing with us and know that we are actively seeking solutions on this as we move forward. So it may take a little bit longer. I'm hearing the afternoon car line is going incredibly well, so I'm thankful to hear that, but we will be doing everything we can to adjust the lights at Dole and 105, which will in turn potentially adjust lights at Jackson Creek and 105, and then at the 163 off-ramp at 105, because those are all tied in and sequenced together. So,
Thank you for doing my report.
I want to make a few comments.
absolutely.
Just on Carline in general. And Ms. Barrett, Mr. Walker, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second because I don't remember the exact times except for today. When did we have all the children in the building on Monday?
8:20.
Okay. On Tuesday, I believe it was 8:14. On Wednesday, I wasn't here. Do you have a number?
8:10, 8:11. Yeah.
And
Progress.
by our watches this morning, Mr. Graham and I standing out the front door, it was 8:06. So I know we still have a few more minutes that we need to shave off this car line thing, but I point that out because it is improving. By no means are we happy with the way that we have to run car line today, but I do want to point out the fact that it is improving. And for those of you that know me, I've always said a lot about car line at the beginning of each year. So I'm going to say that this is the beginning of a year, and it takes 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks to get everything dialed in for parents to find their alternative routes. We're not going to tell you what routes to take here, but for parents to find their alternative routes to get to the school, whether they utilize the dirt parking lot so that they can turn right and go back out onto Knollwood and maybe not come through Carline anymore. All of those little kinks work themselves out, and know that I say this not because I want us to get back and be comfortable with the way our car line's proceeding, because we're certainly not happy with what's happening out on 105, but as Mr. Graham said, I just want to say thank you and continue those patients for a couple weeks, because I truly do believe that we're going to be able to get back in the time parameters that we need to make sure the kids are all in the building well before class starts. Our teachers and our volunteers can get off of Carline and get inside and be in a ready position to educate and love on our kids. So thank you. Keep that going for another week and a half. We're getting lots of emails. There's a lot with suggestions. There's a few with just saying thank you, but a lot with suggestions. At the end of the day, I think the car line thing, we're going to do well just as a community working that out. And I do want to say thank you to the church again for helping us get to these, the opportunity that we have today, which that helped me remind me the other thing that I wanted to talk about. When we enter into the agreement with the church, we do have protocol that we have to follow. And as parents, you are held to that. And you may not see the contract, and maybe that's something that we need to put out publicly so that as parents you can see that we turn right coming out of the church parking lot. There is a sign that says, don't turn left. Many of you probably realize it doesn't say you can't go straight across, but you need to know that the agreement with the church says you turn right coming out of our parking lot. Do not upset our neighbors. Now, the things that have upset me this week, that I'm going to call all of our parents out on. U-turns on 105, oh my gosh, I don't know what we're thinking, but don't do U-turns on 105. You have El Paso County, you have Colorado Springs, you have our safety officers out there. Please don't do that. Corresponding to that, twice now, I've seen parents carrying children across 105. Please don't do that either. I'm speaking from myself right now. Please don't do that. You're jeopardizing you, you're jeopardizing the students, you're jeopardizing people that are in the cars because of evasive maneuvers, they crash into other cars. It's a domino effect. Find alternative ways to get across 105 and to do your U-turns. I do U-turns, just not on 105. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dole. And I want to reiterate our thankfulness to the church as well, because we understand that if we were not willing to have that agreement where we could at least turn right out of that parking lot, we literally would be doing U-turns in front of the school until we could potentially build a cul-de-sac. And we think it would be bad, now in relation to what we are doing, it would be significantly worse. So I just want to, as I stated in our last meeting, we thank the church for the willingness to engage with us and have this conversation and come to an agreement with us, but we need to honor our agreement. Any further discussion? At this point, I have no action item on this, so we will move into the fifth grade survey. I know this was brought up in Mr. Holmes' report. I wanted to see if the board wanted to open it up to discussion and have any more conversation on this with Mr. Holmes after further review of the survey.
Mr. Holmes, I know you mentioned in your report that it's kind of spread across the board on what parents want. We had one public comment of one way. Can you just share with us some potential options of how you're looking at solving this problem?
I guess just part of what we have looked at is, obviously if we get portable space to this campus, that can help move all the sixth graders here. One of the factors that goes into that is the cost of those portables. And we are looking for low-cost solutions to do that, and that's part of it. One of the things that was mentioned earlier is that, if we leave, and Mrs. Seymour and I have talked about this as well, that the more sixth graders we bring over here, the easier car line is to get on campus, so that's a factor. So there's a variety of different factors that we as a community need to look at before we make those decisions. That I think it's evident from this survey that I think it would be a big disruption to our community and not honoring a lot of our parents if we forced all the students to stay at the other campus, even though there's space there. Carline doesn't dictate that, and our parent feedback says that would be a major challenge for many of our families. And so that, we still might be able to bring all of them here, but we also have survey data that says some of our parents would like to stay together at campus, and we just need to weigh that as well and see how much additional space we can add to this building. Currently at this campus, almost every classroom is being used almost every hour. So there's very, very little available space. One of the frustrations of teachers in this campus is that they're sharing rooms and moving around the building. It just creates some undue stress with them that isn't normal. And so the more if we bring some sixth graders here, at least or all sixth graders, I think it's important that we bring some modular space or some other way of having more classrooms on this campus for next year.
When would the board and admin need to make a decision on this, on how we will proceed forward?
I think it would be good if we had some further discussion on it at the January meeting and have a little more direction. Part of what you can see from this survey is there's a group in the middle that really just wants more information. And so before we go too far down that line, we need to talk with administration at each campus about we pretty much know what sixth grade will look like at this campus. we need to have a conversation with the West administration on what, if we did leave a class or two in sixth grade at the other campus next year, what would that program look like? Obviously, before we ask parents to, if we did do the choice model, we want parents to have a very clear understanding of what that program is. Because it might look different between the two campuses. That was the point brought up earlier, that would be part of that process, is identifying the program, what it would look like, be involved in that. But it's one of those things I felt like getting some just initial survey data of what fifth grade parents were thinking would help us, and that forms our conversations to move forward and helps direct us at least some, because there are many factors that will go into the decision.
Regarding the modulars, if we moved in that direction, have we received any type of, or put out an RFP for potentially moving these or purchasing or acquiring modulars here?
I have requested quotes from a number of different companies that do modulars. They have yet to get those to me. We're also inquiring of some potential used modulars that we know of in different places to see if that's a possibility. One of the things that I've asked Mr. Walker and Ms. Barrett to work on is what would the layout of their building look like with the modulars, and then what would it look like without the modulars that we have at the other campus. So that's kind of a precursor to moving them. And Mr. DiVincenzo is looking at getting pricing on what it would cost to move those modulars over here.
So it would be safe to say we would potentially have that information by the January meeting.
I think by January we can have a lot more detail about that.
On the subject of the modular, if we did go that way, as we're talking about it, throwing it around, do you foresee the modular as being a temporary solution, housing our students, or is this a long-term thing that we would be using the modulars to house actual students, or do you see them, would we sell them after we're needing them? Would we retain them and use them for storage or some other, what do you envision for that?
Well, my hope is that if we got modulars for this campus for extra classrooms, that will be a one-year solution, and that our academic building wing would be built for high school, and we would not need modulars on this campus. And then, it's part of the reason why we love to get some used ones, because they don't really drop in value much if they're already used. If you get new ones, it's like driving a new car off the lot. It tends to drop its value very quickly. And Mr. Brocklehurst and I both feel like that's a very expensive way to go, and that would almost be the last resort. But I think we'll be able to find some used classroom space for this campus, but it may take quite a bit of looking to get that done.
Are our modulars on the West Campus, they're being used? Or
Yes.
they're in use? Okay.
I don't like the decision that has to be made when it comes to sixth grade. I do recognize that it's a one-year solution, and I understand that there are passionate parents out there that we need to keep sixth grade at this campus. My oldest daughter happens to be sixth grade this year, and I was blown away by back to school night. And so, Mr. Holmes, I tell you this, that two of the questions that I'll be asking is, how do you keep the sixth grade teacher team cohesion that I saw if we have to split campuses? I think that, to me, there was just something amazing that night when we saw the back to school. So to me, if the sixth grade team, and I don't understand how all of this works, if the sixth grade team can stay together, the location to me actually is not as important, knowing that this is a one-year fix. But I do want to also understand if the team has to split up because we're being in locations, how does that work? How does the sixth grade team feel about it? But the other question that I have is, people feel differently about where sixth grade falls in terms of elementary and how that relates to curriculum. And I know Ms. Seymour, in the past couple of years, in the few conversations I had with her with respect to curriculum, there were points that she made that I can't speak intelligently to as to why sixth grade stays so well with seventh and eighth and then moving into high school versus keeping sixth grade with fifth. And I don't expect, or am I asking for any conversation on that tonight, but just know that those are two things that I'll be asking about in January.
Yeah, and a quick response to that about the teacher team is, and that's been asked by our sixth grade team here as well. With the amount of growth that we have in our school, if we add 120, 140 students again, obviously we're going to hire new additional staff. And so there's no reason why the new staff that we hire couldn't be hired to do one or two classes at the East Campus if that's the direction we go, which would keep the sixth grade team here intact here at this campus.
Thanks.
I just want to say thank you for asking the parents and giving them a voice, and also just considering all the options. I think I'm glad we're starting early because it seems like a complicated problem to fix, but thanks for your foresight on that.
Board, any further discussion, no action on this tonight? We will move to the Phase 2 survey. If there's any discussion on that. Okay, easy enough. Mr. Buczkowski, we will move into policy review 1500A, B, and C. Each have distributed those policies electronically. I'll let Mr. Buczkowski speak to it.
Thank you, Ryan. So, Board, you have the red lines of policies 1500A, B, and C. And what these policies are for, 1500A is really sort of how the board operates as really a manager of the COO and CFO. And then policy 1500B is the policies that we have in place for how the COO sort of conducts his or her performance. And then 1500C is the policy for sort of the roles and duties of the CFO. We met in the governance committee to just review and then amend these policies a little bit. The only changes that we have are really just grammar and word choice. Hopefully you can see in the red line that certain use of the word will was changed to the word shall, and that we also added some other reference documents at the end, such as the East and West contracts and the Colorado Revised Statutes, and as well as the District 38 policies, which also apply to us. So to these three policies, there's really no substantive change, just word choice and grammar updates, and then adding new related documents to better educate the board members.
Two things just quickly. Thank you for that, Joe. I just noted under item 3, I think it is, it redlines 6, but it doesn't put anything in place. And I just want to confirm that we're doing 7 members, and that this will ultimately say 7. Is that correct?
Actually, the policy doesn't need to specify the number of board members. Since right now, the board is still 6, we've created a future role for the 7th person, but until basically resolution or election, that 7th board member doesn't really come into being. But if we look at the language there, and it says the board is made up of, I read over the red line, the board is made up of elected or appointed individuals as outlined in the bylaws. That statement is now correct, no matter how many board members we have. And so it's just one thing that doesn't need to be edited in the future.
Okay, that makes good sense. And then just, I guess, a little bit more clarification on what the thought was behind changing from will to shall?
Yes, good question. So, shall is the correct legal language for the language of obligation. So when we say something such as, the CFO shall make reports monthly, that the word shall there adds an obligation to perform that duty. The word will is really more in use of a statement of fact, like the sun will rise tomorrow. And so really it's just correcting word choice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buczkowski. I'll make a motion that we accept the revisions to policy 1500A, B, and C as provided tonight.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion on said motion? Any objections to said motion? Motion will carry by unanimous consent. Mrs. St. Aubyn, back to you with snow days and full day Fridays.
Okay, so as you know, or as you probably know, when we changed so when we have the staggered start, or staggered end times at the West Campus, we lost 4 snow days, correct, 4? So we're required to have a certain amount of days and a certain amount of hours to meet our requirements with the state. At this time, we budgeted for 8 snow days. We're having a great fall, and so we when we budgeted for 8 snow days, it was really 4 in the fall semester and 4 in the spring semester. We used none, so that's in our favor. We still do, I met with the assistant principals of the West Campus today, and we still would like to put 4 potential Fridays that would be full day Fridays on the calendar. Those, we have 5 days to use, so hopefully we do not need to make up hours. However, if we get to the end of February and we've used 4 of our snow days, then we are going to start calling full day Fridays. And the way we did it a couple of years ago when we were a little short on snow days is that we laid those out in advance. So, Mr. Walker, would you like to share which days that you've chosen to be potential full day Fridays?
We went round and round on this because we hate to make changes in our teachers' lives, but we want to make it clear that if we don't need them, we won't use them.
Right.
And so the first one would be February 25th, hoping that we won't need to use that one. March 11th, and then in April, 2 of them, April 8th and April 22nd. There's reasoning behind all those dates. The 8th and 22nd of April are the 2 Fridays on either side of the Friday we already have off. And some of those dates are on short weeks where we already have a Monday off, so that we would just have a full Friday.
And are those for both campuses or just West?
Our staggered times only affect us, so I don't know what we call it with that. But, and it was 3 days that we lost instead of 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think that's something that we could vote on, but I would potentially say it would only affect the West Campus. They're the only ones changing their schedule. But I think that's something that we could have open for discussion. Secondly, just to clarify, in the afternoon, so one day equals 6.67 hours. A Friday afternoon makes up 2.5 of those hours. So that is why we're adding in 4 Friday afternoons, because we would need 3. So say we get to 6 snow days, we need 3 Friday afternoons to make up that 1 extra snow day, if that makes sense. So, like I said, we're off to a pretty decent start with our winter, so we're gonna hope that it doesn't come to this, but is there any discussion?
I do have one question, yeah. Just for the sake of clarity and understanding or amongst everybody, can we, I know there's a lot of question out there, at least I've heard, how people don't fully understand how we lost days. So can one of you two just clarify that for us all, please?
So we gained 5 minutes in the morning by starting at 8:05 instead of 8:10.
Right.
But we lost in the afternoon 15, no, so with our staggered time, 15 minutes, bringing our staggered time back to 3 o'clock instead of 3:15.
So essentially we are losing 20 minutes,
10 minutes.
oh, 10 minutes each day.
Correct.
So that's a significant amount over 5 days.
Correct.
So we really have to look at our youngest grade, because I know some parents have emailed me saying, I have a 2nd and a 5th grader, they're there 5 minutes longer. And we recognize that, but really we have to go with, we're looking at 1st grade, is the grade that's missing the time. And because we're pulling siblings, basically everyone is done at that 3 o'clock time, because there's kids, have their classes out with their siblings. So that's why we went with everyone. And we can't really say 1st grade is going to come all day on Friday, and the 2nd through 5th is going to go home because we have the siblings. So it impacts significant of our population.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Is there any discussion around, should it just be the West Campus, or is this for all West and East? What's that?
One of the things that we did in this whole process was try to minimize the impact of this campus, because that really does affect this campus. So we really tried to minimize the impact here as much as possible. So that was the point.
A few of our teachers might have comments. Are we willing to take comments from the teachers?
But we did have our board teacher representative email us and say that regarding snow day change from 8 days to 4, if we could consider 2 things. One, doing e-learning instead of taking a snow day. Spring is tough in general. To add full day to Friday each week is challenging for teachers. Or if the above question is not doable, can it at least be considered for middle school? Just a thought. That was from one of our board teachers.
I think we got a lot of feedback last year that people really do not like the e-learning on Fridays. I would say I would vote against that personally. And also, to that point, we're not really set up for e-learning this year. Last year it was very easy because we were doing it anyway. This year we haven't been doing that, so I think that would be more of a challenge.
Ms. Patterson.
That's up to the board. Would there be any objections to having Mrs. Patterson give a comment to the board? Okay, Mrs. Patterson, it's all yours.
I would just, I'm not sure how it would impact families with students at both campuses for a half day for one and full day for one. That's just a question. But I know too, some staff are working at both campuses and that might present a problem for the schedules. I know it would for mine, but I don't know how many other that might affect too.
Well, and I think my concern, sorry, go
If
ahead.
it was just one campus. I don't.
Okay. I think the concern that comes to my mind is how this affects our families. And families, if you have one child going full day and then one child going half day and getting our children, it's just something I want to put out there as we're thinking about all the things.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but short of stopping inclement weather, there's not really a lot we can do to alleviate these 4 snow days. I mean, based on the car line issue that we're in, we have to make a decision on making up that time, correct?
and let me just make sure we're clear, we're not losing 4, we're losing 3. So we will still have 5 that we can use. Correct.
Yes, we still have five snow days to use. We had 8 built into our schedule. We've used 0.
But we're looking at 4 tonight to add.
We're looking at really 4 Friday afternoons, which equals basically
I get
1 1/4 day. We're not adding in the 3 we're missing. We're adding in 1.
But there's really no other way around this. We have to make up that lost time, and in the event that we don't need it, we don't use it, but we do need to make a decision on. I mean, this is something the board can table and have some more discussion on. I don't see that it's imperative that we have this laid out tonight, but if you want to proceed forward with these half-full days, that would be potentially allocated to that.
Yeah, I have a couple other comments. One is that, in the end, we can't possibly get a waiver. So if say we suddenly have crazy weather and we end up using 7 snow days and we're only able to make up 6, we could apply for a waiver with the state. So we're not gonna, our hope is to not ever extend the last day of school. But also, I think, just in my opinion, for parents planning and teachers planning, it's to give them the most time we can to plan on, hey, I might have to potentially work on this Friday, is the respectful thing.
Maybe just nailed my comment. I think it's a proactive approach, especially if we're saying that we're putting these on the calendar, we're only going to use them if we need them. At least those 4 Fridays have been laid out. Inevitably, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to not have to add school days on at the end of the year and extend the entire year. But I would be in favor. We could table it if there were some good questions asked about how does that impact teachers that are at East Campus that need to be at West Campus. Is it a big impact? Is it a small impact that can be overcome? But I would be in favor of putting the 4 days on the calendar, knowing that it's there to be used and it's a good future planning tool.
I would also say that the year we did put the snow days on the calendar to start with, the makeup snow days was a good idea, and I would encourage us to, when we're voting on the calendar, remember to add the snow days in to start. And I also think we could potentially vote on these 4 days without having a solid decision on the East and West Campus. Who's coming the full day Friday, and have some more discussion with our assistant principals and Mr. Holmes about that.
Would anybody be prepared to present a motion on this?
We're just, if I make the motion for the 4 days, do we have to make a clarifying comment on the campuses? If I make the motion, do I have to make a motion on both campuses, or do I have to have a clarifying comment?
Well, I mean, if you make a motion and it's approved tonight, we can always amend that at next month's meeting, but I'm in agreement that we probably need to have these 4 dates placed on the calendar moving forward. Next month is obviously December, and to your guys' point on parents just making plans that may have some impact on vacations or into next year, et cetera, but I would, it would be your motion, but I would probably make that motion just based on the West Campus at this time.
That's what I'm inclined to do. Okay. Doesn't have to be legalistic, right? I hereby motion that the Monument Academy Board of Directors approve the potential snow days makeup days, of February 25th, March 11th, April 8th, and April 22nd, only to be applicable to the Monument Academy West Campus. as needed.
Accept the motion.
Did you get that, Ms. St. Aubyn, second? Any further discussion on said motion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Buczkowski? Aye. Ms. Clinton?
Aye.
Mr. Dole?
Aye.
Mrs. McCuen?
Aye.
Mrs. St. Aubyn?
Aye.
For the record, Ryan Graham votes aye, motion carries. And again, if we need to address this in a future meeting, based on feedback, obviously, we can come back to the table. So this at least gives us something moving forward. All right, moving on to Ms. St. Aubyn, all-school fundraiser.
Well, in the past, Monument Academy has had a lot of PTO fundraisers and individual fundraisers for specific items. There's been some discussion, especially with our upcoming budget challenges, that we would institute an all-school fundraiser. And I am going to phone a friend and ask Mrs. Brethauer, Mr. and Mrs. Brethauer, to come up, and they chaired our safety committee 2 or 3 years ago and did a very successful fundraiser specifically for our SRO to fund that position. We were not able to do that last year due to COVID, but they have generously volunteered to help fundraise again this year, and we started a discussion about, maybe incorporating not only the SRO, but parents could come and maybe designate, okay, I really like my donation to go toward, teacher salaries or SRO or specific areas. So we kind of like to just concentrate our efforts so we're not constantly asking people for money. I think you just have a lot better success that way. And so if you are willing, I'd like to invite you to speak. Thank you. And you guys match. That was really good.
Not clinical.
Well, for those that don't know who we are, my name is Josh Brethauer. This is my wife, Wendy. As Megan said, 3 years ago, we started the Monument Academy Safety Solutions team. And we had no idea that we were even going to be presented with an idea of getting a SRO for Monument Academy. That was something that El Paso County Sheriff's Office came to us shortly after, but it's not just the SRO, it's anything that has to do with keeping our children and our staff safe. And that's the goal and the mission of Safety Solutions. We want to be able to provide our staff with anything they need. Obviously, having the SRO on campus is huge. That was a blessing for all of us. Obviously, our goals moving forward is going to be hopefully having one on each campus. We've been in discussion. So there's a lot on the table. So, with Monument Academy not getting the funding, I think everybody knows that the public schools get, it's on us as parents to help fundraise and do what we need to do to come alongside the staff and to relieve some stress on the budget to make sure our kids and our teachers are safe. So we have a couple ideas.
Yeah, as Megan said, we'd love to possibly try to do a fundraiser maybe every year that parents just know, hey, in the spring, we have this one big fundraiser, whether it's for teacher salaries and safety, but we all kind of join and do that together. We held a fundraiser 2 years ago for our SRO. We had an event and we raised $45,000 in one evening for that. So our parents were very passionate and our faculty was amazing support. So we would love to get the board's opinion of doing that here, in the spring, and look at having a committee and running an event that will better our school, keep everyone safe, and, help better them.
I'd just like to add too, I think many charter schools fundraise. I know that like TCA, for example, their parents, a lot of them give a monthly donation. So this is something that Monument Academy really has never done, to my knowledge. We've never had a consistent giving from our parents. But I think, so I think we're missing out there. We're missing an opportunity. Because obviously our parents are passionate about the school. We care about it. We want it to be the best. We love our teachers. We want to support. We've seen that over and over again. So I am personally in support of this effort, and I hope it would be something that would be started and continue on and build on, so that this can be something that, you know, our budget can kind of count on year after year.
I love this idea. I think this is great. Thank you guys for coming and being willing to talk with us and present on it. I think it's a critical need we have as a school. It makes me think of a booster club as well. I don't know, I mean, I think those are probably separate things, but you know, the phase that we are in, the season that we are in as a school right now of growing and expanding, this makes complete sense to collaborate together and work in tandem. We've got the high school athletic department that is being launched, and there's a lot of needs for that. We've got gyms, track fields, we've got a lot coming up, you know, and so I think this, not as a one-time thing, but just as a launching point. I could see this be a great launching point, you know, just for beginning that culture of continually fundraising and investing into our children and our staff and our school. And I think I agree with Megan. I know just in my friend group, there's a lot of people that want to give, that want to help. They're just looking for a way. So practically speaking, I don't know if we're there yet, if I'm getting a little too far ahead, but are we looking to maybe form a committee for an all school fundraiser committee? And we would have it annually, I'm assuming, and it just is one of our committees. And
Selfishly, I would like a committee, because otherwise my wife's going to wind up doing it all. So.
Yeah, we do not want to burn people out. That's not what we're trying to do. And I think it should be a community collaboration. So.
And I'm not sure if it should be a board committee or if it should, I think it probably should be a board or fall under the position of development that no one has, right?
Yes.
The seventh board member when they join.
Yes, we'll give this to them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a quick question on this. By the way, thank you. This is
Yeah.
an awesome idea. I love the fact that you're willing to help. As the board considers this, fundraisers, donations, write-offs translates to 5013Cs, which translates to PTO. So just, does that need to be a consideration as you form the committee?
No, I don't think so, because Monument Academy itself is a 501c3, correct? If I just give a donation to Monument Academy, not even just PTO, but it's tax deductible.
Okay,
So you could today sign up to donate $100 a month to Monument Academy.
Yes, I've noticed those new buttons on our PTO page with the hand.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can donate monthly. That's a great idea.
Yes, yes. So, so I don't think it needs to fall under PTO, and to be honest with you, it should not. It needs to fall under the board. I guess we voted, the motion would be to start a new committee. I don't know if somebody would want to discuss a little bit more on how and what and who, and before we do that, or?
I think the who would be you.
Or you two.
Well, I mean, from the
Oh,
board
from the
perspective, just having, the RDC committee is something that was, bylaws, we just have never exercised that based on the number of other committees that we have. I think this is a terrific idea. This is something that we could do on an annual basis, especially in the springtime, moving forward. I think this would be the impetus of something great. So I have no concerns that if we wanted to make a motion to basically bring forward the RDC committee, that Megan St. Aubyn is the chair of that committee. So, I guess
Maybe 105 can wrap up.
Well, I'll just make a motion that I hereby move that we implement the Resource Development Committee, and Megan St. Aubyn will be the chair of that committee moving forward. And motion.
I'll second the motion.
Megan, I'm happy to help you. So.
Yeah. I will accept that position, but I will ask for a lot of help because I don't have really too much time left in my day. But I would like to work together and work to form a generous committee, like a pretty good-sized committee. Something like this takes a lot of work, a lot.
Well, and I think that this will go hand in hand with the volunteer committee as well. There are ways that we can collaborate and make that really work well together in terms of providing people, but also as volunteer committees move forward with opportunities for how people can provide family hours every year. There's ideas with how to make that work with, a big fundraising event at the end of the year.
So we have a second by Mr. Dole. Any further discussion on this? I'll make one quick comment. Mrs. Clinton, if this motion passes with this board tonight, if you could add that moving forward to the agenda under committees, just for an update at each meeting, since this is a board-sanctioned committee now. Mr. Buczkowski, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Mrs. Clinton?
Aye.
Mr. Dole? Aye. Mrs. McCuen?
Aye.
Mrs. St. Aubyn?
Aye.
For the record, Ryan Graham votes aye. The motion carries. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here and also just for your efforts
Yeah.
3 years ago and
Our pleasure. Thank you guys.
appreciate you.
That completes our items requiring board discussion and action. We will move into board comments and announcements. On the agenda, we have Mrs. Clinton for PTO announcements.
Okay, well, I did get some updates from West and East PTO. The West campus, just wanted to highlight the Watchdogs and Trunk or Treat that Mr. Holmes mentioned as well. Just a great turnout there. They're enjoying collaboration between the school, the board, PTO. There's just lots of positive involvement and changes that are happening. The East campus wanted to report that they had an Eagle Scout project from Troop 17 complete the first project on the PTO fundraiser list last weekend. The shade sails and 4 benches were installed out by the turf in the Ninja course. They are looking for another troop or scouts interested in building the Gaga ball pit for them. And if they can't find volunteers through those avenues, they're going to reach out to parents, see if there's anyone that would like to help build the ball pit as it is currently funded from their fundraising efforts. They're looking at working with a Boy Scout to build the volleyball court for his Eagle project. And then that would complete all of their outdoor projects for this year. They're working on the teacher lounge as well and having it painted and hopefully doing some more additions that will make it more welcoming. And then they are supporting a teacher lunch in December. So those are PTO updates. The other comment I just had is if you are looking around and you see these lovely patriotic placemats are on the chairs too, just highlighting that we had an amazing Veterans Day ceremony today. Kendra, stand up. Everybody look at Kendra Coleman because it was really awesome. There was so much positive feedback. This woman made 400 homemade biscuits. So that today on top of some of the decorations that were there. Sorry, I'm just calling you out. But but I wanted to highlight that we had a great event today, and we had the student involvement was amazing with the choir that sang, and it was just the music was wonderful, and the placemats that you see were made by the 3rd grade group, and so I wanted to have another opportunity to display them. So at the board meeting today. Here we go. So enjoy those before, I don't know what's going to happen to them afterwards. You can take them if you like afterwards. But just thank you for putting that together and for everybody that helped make that a great event in collaboration with our students and our staff and our community.
Thank you, Ms. Clinton. In honor of Veterans Day, do we have any veterans in the room right now? And if we do, would you please stand? Nobody. Oh. Thank you for your service, sir. Any further comments? Board comments?
Sorry, I didn't get this one to the agenda in time. I needed to make some comments about the Watchdogs program. How many in the room were at the Watchdogs program? All right. Thank you for your help. For those of you that you're not familiar with the Watchdogs program, just real quick, it's a program that encourages dads, grandparents, uncles, grandfathers, you name it, the male role model to get into the classroom, participate for a full day with the kids, with the teachers, with the entire staff, and just really have a positive impact on our kids. You know, sometimes when you say kids, you're thinking about as a dad, I'm going to have a positive impact on my kid. But ultimately, you have an impact on the other 23 kids that are in your child's class, and then you migrate through your schedule the entire day and you participate in every grade level, and you realize you actually impact, I don't remember the count, Mr. Brocklehurst, 500 and something kids at the West Campus. It's a lot of kids, and it's an awesome experience, and it's an awesome day for that male role model to watch them. Quick history, I had the pleasure with Brad Cheatwood, Eric Hutto, and the administrative staff back in 2019 to help implement this program here at Monument Academy. I'm a big fan of it, and it was successful in the sense that we had 40 or 50 people, that's adults and kids, turn out when we first launched the program. And we did a barbecue night, and then in the spring we did a Donuts with Dads in the morning. I think we had 30 or 40 total there. So last Thursday, Brad's emailing me the RSVPs, and the count I think is at 44. And I happened to be flying home from Seattle on Friday, and I saw this email come through saying we're up to 244 RSVPs. And I thought he was joking at first, but no, he wasn't. In fact, we didn't stop at 244. We received almost another 60 RSVPs over the weekend, and quickly approached the 300 count on Monday. And that sent a lot of people into a state of panic, because we quickly realized that the NPR does not hold 300 people. It has a fire code of 220, I think it is. So I need to not only acknowledge the amazing turnout, but I need to give some thank yous to a lot of the MA staff, to the principals that helped to coordinate this, to our athletic coaches that helped with the basketball program and coordination in the gym. We had our A, B, and C teams that were doing practice. The practice was running right up till 5:30, and the program was starting at 6, and we needed to move tables for 300 people and food and everything into the gym. And it was a really neat display, and I really give credit to our basketball team, our C team specifically. At 5:30, that curtain opened between the NPR and the gym, and the entire team jumped up on the stage, grabbed all the tables, quickly set up, and they actually had the whole room set up before the first dads walked in, which was awesome. Great turnout. I don't know that we were quite at 300 if everybody that RSVP'd actually came, but I did do a quick head count, and I know we were north of 250. So huge success. There was 120 plus male role models in the building that night. I'm not even sure if we have 120 calendar days that are available for Watchdogs between now and the end of the year, and we were just trying to figure out how do we fill the calendar until Christmas. When I say end of the year, I mean May of next year. So I'm hoping that maybe I'm going to have to encourage the school to consider 2 Watchdogs here in the near future on West Campus. And with the success, as Merlin said, we are looking to eventually bring that program up to the East Campus. So thank you to everybody that helped participate in that. I think it's going to be awesome. We start first Watchdog. I'm going to run the gauntlet on Monday just to see if we have any kinks in the system. Brad Cheatwood is going to do that, I think, on Wednesday. Mark Williams might be doing it on Tuesday. But nonetheless, we got some veteran dogs that are going to take over the system next week, challenge it, make sure it's working correctly, and then all the new dads will start the ball.
Fantastic. Thank you for that update. Any further board comments? All right, seeing none, we will move into new business. Do we have any new business proposals for our next meeting? Seeing none, we will move into our motion to adjourn to executive session.
For those of you who don't know, when we go into executive session, it's just the board. And you're welcome to wait out in the hallway. Do not believe we have any votes planned for afterward, correct? We don't know. We don't have anything planned. So, welcome to wait, but you're also welcome to leave. So I'm going to motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to CRS 24-64024, B, C, E, and F to receive legal advice on specific legal matters, to discuss negotiating positions, and to advise negotiators, and to discuss personnel matters related to facility financing, charter contract matters, and performance of school administrators.
I second that motion. Any discussion on said motion? Mr. Buczkowski, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Mrs. Clinton?
Aye.
Did you guys need to add the bit about student?
Well, I added the letter.
We
Add the letter.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I
Say the
didn't
word.
add, it's too long.
So that was the letter C that was added at the beginning for additions and approval to the agenda. So back to the vote. Got lost here. Mr. Buczkowski voted yes, Mrs. Clinton voted yes, Mr. Dole,
Aye.
Mrs. McCuen,
Aye.
Mrs. St. Aubyn.
Aye.
For the record, Ryan Graham votes aye. We are adjourned to executive session. We'll take a 5-minute recess to let the room clear out.